Okay, the first movie. Shit! Shit! Woo! Hey everybody, my name's Aaron McDonald and you are watching Private Parts. Today we're doing something a little bit different, or actually it's more of the same. I'm going to be talking about the Criterion films that I've picked up throughout the year during their sales. So every July and every November, Criterion through Barnes and Noble does a 50% off sale. So that's how you get to build a collection. You needle, you find deals. Otherwise, so it's totally unaffordable. You know, you got to keep your eyes out and know when the sales come up. And these are the movies that I've acquired from Criterion through these sales. So, and in future videos, we'll get back to the gritty knit. We'll get back into the nasty stuff, but today we're all class. So this is the stack that I've been able to get throughout the year. Okay, the first movie we're going to be talking about is Miller's Crossing. This is one of the Coen brothers' masterpieces. They have a glut of them. If you don't know who the Coen brothers are, they directed Fargo and Big Lebowski and No Country for Old Men and Raising Arizona and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I mean, they've got a ton of just classic movies. And Miller's Crossing is a gangster movie, like 1930s gangster, and it's got Gabriel Byrne and Marcia Gay Harden and Albert Finney and John Turturro, to name a few. It's also got Joe Polito, who's like a Coen's regular. he's the brother Seamus from the Big Lebowski. So this is their kind of homage to the classic 30s 40s gangster films. And Gabriel Byrne plays kind of a fixer or right-hand man to Albert Finney, who's the Irish gangster. And Joe Polito is the Italian gangster, and he's trying to muscle in. That, you know, the Albert Finney and Polito have had this rivalry going forever. And because of a dirty dame, Finney is messing up. Played by Marcia Gay Harden. She's kind of the femme fatale of the movie. And he falls in love with her, and so he's trying to help out her brother, who's John Turturro, is just as total degenerate. And so Gabriel Byrne kind of has to move between all like, he's loyal to Albert Finney, but he doesn't necessarily agree with his decisions. He's just kind of playing every side to get a right outcome. And in the meantime, he's also kind of having an affair with Marcia Gay Harden too. And it's just like a super good movie. This movie taught me the correct way to shave when I was a youngster. So Miller's Crossing, if you haven't seen it, it's a masterpiece. The next picture I'll be discussing that I bought during the Criterion sale is Amy Heckerling's Fast Times at Ridgmont High. I mean, this movie kind of kicked off the teen movie, you know. It was, at least of the 80s. There was maybe American Graffiti kind of started everything, but Fast Times came out kind of well before, like before the Hughes craze came out, and we started getting Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink and 16, you know, all the Hughes stuff. This is kind of a more realistic look at high school. Breakfast Club meant a lot to me, and I definitely, when I saw it, like, I could relate to all the kids in some way. But this movie is kind of a little more true to life. It's not so melodramatic. It just kind of, it's just a great piece of America's cinema, you know. And Amy Heckerling is highly underrated, and she's a beast of movies. She also directed Clueless and one of my other favorites, Johnny Dangerously. She's got some stinkers in there. She's got a little stink, but for the most part, Amy Heckerling just can almost do no wrong in my eyes. And Fast Times in Ridgemont High, I mean, it's got everybody in it. You know, this is where Sean Penn kind of got his sea legs and really got noticed. Jennifer Jason Leigh kind of like really got like this. This was star-making performances for a ton of people. Judge Reinhold has a classic scene. Phoebe Gates has maybe the penultimate scene of the 80s is from this film. It also has it's got scenes from, I think it might introduce Forrest Whitaker. It's got small roles from like Eric Stoltz, and Nicolas Cage is in this movie. This is a great piece of 80s cinema, and it should be seen by anybody. The next film I'm going to talk about is Withnail and I. Okay, I have this on DVD, but I think the first time I saw it was I rented it or I checked it out from the Pitkin County Library in Aspen when I was living up there, and I think it was the Criterion edition, because my Blu-rays, this has some interviews and stuff that my DVD doesn't have. But this movie means a whole lot to me. It's super funny. Richard E. Grant plays this degenerate, just alcoholic nightmare.
These aren't mine, they belong to him.
You're drunk.
I assure you I'm not, officer. Honestly, I've only had a few ales.
Get in the back of the van! Into the arena of the unwell. What we need is harmony.
We want the finest wines available to humanity. We want them here, and we want them now.
And he is so good in it. And he plays Withnail, and Paul McGann plays kind of the main character. This whole thing is written and directed by Bruce Robinson, and it's just about these two like college age dudes in Britain that decide to go out to the country for the weekend just to get away from shit. And like I said, Richard E. Grant is just this like wrecking ball of a human being. And his uncle owns a cabin out in the middle of nowhere, and so they decide to go out there. And these two guys have no idea how to do anything, really. And so surviving even for a weekend in this cabin, having to build a fire and like provide food, they're both flat broke and have no idea, like they can barely manage life in the city, and now they're in the country trying to figure things out, and hilarity ensues. It has a performance from Ralph Brown. You probably have no idea who Ralph Brown is. But if you've seen Wayne's World 2, he's the roadie who they hired to kind of teach him the ropes about how to throw a gig. And that same character that he plays in there begins right here. He's a drug dealer. And it's just like one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life is Ralph Brown in this film.
If I medicined you, you'd think a brain tumor was a birthday present.
So, Withnail and I, definitely check it out. The next movie I'm going to talk about is Altered States. Okay, this is another movie that I own already on DVD, but when I heard that Criterion had done an upgrade to a 4K, or do a Blu-ray period. I had to get it. Ken Russell directs this. Ken Russell did Tommy, and Altered States is probably one of his more famous movies. Did a bunch of films in the 60s and 70s, in on through the 90s. And this is just a total mind fuck. This is the introduction of John Hurt. He to watch this movie and see as soon as he steps on screen, this looks like a seasoned actor who's been in the game for a long time. And this was his debut. John Hurt plays a researcher at a university. He's doing research on I think it's the psyche, and he discovers this movie came out in 1980, and basically he talks about ayahuasca. So he discovers some sort of, they don't name it, but a drug in South America that can tap into your kind of root brain, into your animal brain or whatever. And so he's going to take that drug and then enter a sensory deprivation tank and kind of bring himself back down to primal man. Right. And by doing that, he kind of he's talking about doing it philosophically, and it physically starts to manifest. So he starts to, the more he does this, he starts to physically, his body and his genetics start to wind back, and he becomes this Neanderthal caveman. And this has one of the scariest scenes. It still affects me deeply. I think I first saw this, my mom and I first watched this. It was on WGN or something on TV. And so we watched it on television, with edited and with commercial breaks and everything, which for a Ken Russell movie kind of takes away some of the mystique, but there's still enough there. There's some imagery in this that is religious imagery, and just I don't know. They call this movie hallucinatory, which is accurate on most of Ken Russell's stuff. But this movie is it's a total fucking mind trip, man. This is a fucking really, really cool movie. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Next, we're going to be talking about James Cagney and Humphrey Bogart and the Roaring Twenties. Now, this is the only Cagney gangster movie that I've never seen. I've seen White Heat and Public Enemy, and some of his other. I've even seen Yankee Doodle Dandy, but I've never seen the Roaring Twenties. So, Bogart and Cagney. Cagney is, everything about Cagney is Brooklyn gangster. I mean, there's nothing not that, even in his comedic turns, you can still kind of see that rough and tumble kind of dude in there, And so I'm excited to watch this. I think this was kind of one of Humphrey Bogart's kind of one of his kind of breakout roles was in this. And so I'm really curious to watch this, and I'm excited. I love 30s gangster movies. So I'm excited to watch The Roaring Twenties. All right, just to get this one out of the way, what I'm going to talk about next is Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure, which I talked about in a previous video. I finally watched it, and this movie's fucking rad, dude. It's about a series of killings which have seemingly nothing to do with each other, but all have the same pattern. And it's a procedural about the detective kind of following, discovering and following these murders and this pattern, and the person perpetrating all these murders. This movie has a ton of cool imagery. It's definitely worth, like, if you like Japanese cinema, or like I said, it's like, I don't know. This movie's kind of it's meditative, it's beautiful, and it's like, at first, when I first, I have this experience all the time. When I first watch it, I'm kind of like, all right, well, yeah, that was good. But the more I think about it and I kind of digest it, this movie is really, really cool, man. So I definitely would check it out if you have a chance. What I'm going to talk about is the only other movie in the pile that I haven't seen, and that is David Lynch's Inland Empire. So this is the only David Lynch movie that I haven't seen. I've always kind of been intimidated. It was shot on digital, kind of when digital was still kind of shitty and grainy, and kind of like when Collateral came out and 28 Days Later. Just kind of that super flat. I mean, it looks like it was shot on a home video camera, Well, those two movies did, and the trailers for this definitely looked similar to that. And it's 3 hours long. So I love David Lynch, and I sat through, 30 hours of Twin Peaks, and for some reason, this 3 hours of Inland Empire are like really have been daunting. Every time I go to put it on, it's like, oh God, like, am I really, this is kind of one of those movies where I have to be in a mood to watch it. So I am going to watch it. But I just haven't yet, and David Lynch is one of my guys, man. He's like, there are people out there that hate Lynch or can't, think he's whatever. Everything that other people hate about him, I love about him. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's got Laura Dern. She's like an actress that's going out for a part, and kind of seems like reality and the part that she's auditioning for or going out for kind of start to blend, as will happen in any Lynch picture. So I am actually really looking forward to watching this, and I will, maybe I'll do like a Lynch episode at some point, and we'll talk about it. Is Thelma. The next movie I'm going to talk about is Thelma and Louise. Now, I had no idea that Thelma and Louise had come out on Criterion. Criterion puts out all sorts of crazy shit, and they put out Armageddon at one point and RoboCop. And so why was I shocked that they would put out Thelma and Louise? I don't know. Who knows? It's none of my business, but for sure, this movie deserves a Criterion disc. This was, we had a bunch of, my mom loved this movie. She had it on VHS. And so I watched this movie a bunch when I was younger. Geena Davis, I mean, this movie changed the definition of chick flicks in the 90s. If anytime somebody talked about a chick flick or a woman's movie or whatever, you think about Terms of Endearment or Mystic Pizza or something like that. You know what I mean? And then this came out, and it was, it changed the landscape, man. This was like a big deal. I don't know. This movie was just about two badass ladies that were tearing a hole through the Southwest. They go through some pretty horrific things in the movie, which alters the course of not only... So, let me start from the beginning. Susan Sarandon and Geena Davis are friends that decide to go on a road trip. A pretty shitty marriage with Christopher McDonald, who you might know as Shooter McGavin. and Susan Sarandon is a waitress. That's, you know, they're just taking a road trip, and things go sideways, and they become these outlaws. And Harvey Keitel is the detective who's trying to track them down, and they end up robbing stores. There's a murder that happens, and they just kind of become these, like, they're not vigilantes, but they're outlaws. That's the long and the short of it. And Susan Sarandon's husband is played by Michael Madsen, and Michael Madsen is a I mean, this was kind of the movie that got him Reservoir Dogs, and this also has, again, the star-making performance of Brad Pitt. People saw Brad Pitt in this, and the ladies got all, not just the ladies, we all got a little misty. We got a little heated up. And it all started right here. Brad Pitt's career is due to Thelma and Louise. So this movie's fucking sick, and it's directed by Ridley Scott, who's done, again, like everything. He's got a few stinkers in there. But again, like, he's got more hits than misses. So definitely, if you've never seen Thelma and Louise, check it out. Got this here from Criterion. Okay, the last movie that I got this year from Criterion is Tarkovsky's Stalker. What can you say about Stalker? It's I mean, it's a Russian picture, kind of it's about this. What is it about? It's about the human experience. It's about existentialism. It's about aliens crash landing on Earth. And these dudes, that are known as stalkers, that can kind of guide you through. There's like, so some sort of alien occurrence happens, and in Russia, and the Russians have cordoned off this area, right? And you can hire a stalker to lead a guided trip into what's known as the zone, and kind of take you in there, and like, it can potentially change you, right? And so this is just like a really beautiful thinker of a picture. If you're not into thinking, then plenty of people don't like to think. So if that's the case, then maybe Happy Gilmore 2 would be more up your alley. But Stalker is just a fucking really cool, really beautiful movie. You should definitely check it out. I'm sick. So until Criterion decides to give me a call and invite me into the closet, into the Criterion closet, don't get any ideas, I'll just have to keep buying these things on my own, it's a sickness. I'm sick, but there are worse things that my money can go to. So grab him by the ears and say, get back on the show, because Aaron is fucking terrible at it. And maybe we'll at least do a Zoom thing. So it was recently his birthday, and so let's all wish him a happy birthday and a merry Christmas. So if you happen to like anything that you saw in this episode, or whatever, like and subscribe, I guess, or just follow us on our socials or whatever, man. We appreciate the views. We do this for ourselves and for a few people out there that seem to enjoy what we talk about. So thank you for being here. We love you, and we will, yeah, we'll see you.